everyone, and welcome again to our weekly edition of ESH News, and we're very excited. It's our second show. Hello, John. How are you?
Good, Nir. Happy to be here again. Second show, episode 2.
Good, and we got another guest over here, Mr. Alon Meitav, and we are very thrilled to have him over here. And we're gonna talk about him in the first segment of the show. And besides that, we got a busy show lining up for you. But before we get to that, I guess before we get to the first segment, we owe our listeners or viewers, whatever, we owe them like an update about last week's name picking for the Israeli star, planet, whatever. John, can you give us a little bit of update about it?
Yes, I'll start sharing my screen here.
Yeah.
And yeah. So if for those who were tuned into our last broadcast, we were talking about the Israel Space Agency, their initiative to name an Israeli planet, or like name a planet and make it an Israeli planet.
Mm-hmm.
And there's actually there's an update about that. After many people submitted their suggested names.
Suppose suggested name, it's okay, John. You can call them like they are. Okay. All right. Yeah.
There's actually a committee here. If you can see this, this is a nice committee, all funded by the Israeli taxpayer.
Yeah.
Very nice.
They look very happy. They look very happy.
Yeah, maybe there's a good salary over there, I guess. But what I can say is that they are going over the names of the new Israeli planet.
Yeah.
And I just actually I responded to their to their post that the names are being processed, are being evaluated.
Now evaluating the names of which name is correct, okay, and do they have the final proposal, final contents or something like that?
Yeah, they're actually doing a competition for who's gonna have the name that they will choose.
Yeah.
So I just added here in Hebrew a layman's question. So where is that planet located, and what proof are there for its existence? And also, by the way, I mentioned here that according to the United Nations regulations or whatever, no nation can declare sovereignty in space.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually replied. They have an employee who's who's being paid to reply.
Yeah. Okay.
So he says that with the celebrations of the 100 years for international cooperation.
This is kind of like a generic response, right? This is not like it kind of like copied it for somewhere, right?
Yeah. It's like
you didn't even like refer to your crush then, right?
It's within the framework of the IAU 100 Name Exo-Worlds thing, and it's to contribute to the Brotherhood of Nations and all that.
Okay. So by the latest Israeli spirit, I think that we should, call the police, sue them, whatever, in the name of the international whatever. Let's do that. But maybe after the show. Anyway, when are the final results are due?
That's a good question. Let me see. Oh, next week.
Next week.
It says here next week.
Next week. Okay, we are all very excited. I'm sure that will be like a broadcast about it or whatever, and we will know what is the name of the new planet. And with that in mind, I guess we will say hello back again to Mr. Alon Meitav, right? Where are you?
Hello.
Hello. You're over there in his shanty living room. I believe that he's after a hard day of work or studies or something, and he's ready to talk about things that he's doing in flat Earth nowadays. How are you, Alon?
I exciting to talk to our brothers and sisters across the sea, our American and European, mostly American flat earthers, brave, young and old men and women that are hearing me right now. It's really it's a great honor.
Okay, great. And we're really happy that you're happy. And besides that, we kind of like invited you over here to discuss a little bit about your recent show, radio show that I believe started last week.
Yes, I am a student for sound engineering and I'm broadcasting in a local radio show on 106 FM. This is the frequency that we are on. It's you can say an educative frequency.
Yeah.
It's like the description of this specific frequency all over Israel is educative.
Yeah.
This is the definition.
Yes, and you're
educational.
And you are
it's an educational radio channel.
Yeah.
Educational radio channel, exactly.
And you are in the northern region, right? Like in the north region of this radio, right?
We are in Tiberias region, in the Sea of Galilee region, a little bit south of the Golan Heights, and a little bit until Menachemia, like the start of the Jordan Valley. So, unlike any other shows and stuff that I have done in my life so far, this time I decide to go full open, to be open about it and just talk for the first time of my life openly about flat Earth outside of the Facebook frame, because most of the people that know me on flat Earth subjects meet me in Hebrew and on Facebook, which is a specific stage. And I think that this is like 2 weeks ago was the first show, and I think that this is the first time that someone in history broadcasting in radio in Israel on flat Earth in Hebrew. So in a way, it's also, I think, it's pretty exciting, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Sea of Galilee area full of biblical events.
Is it is it flat over there?
What?
Is it flat over there?
Of course, the Sea of Galilee is one of the proofs, you know, because on 20 miles, you're supposed to have, it's not 20 miles, I think it's 10 miles or 12 miles, but on 20 kilometers, you're supposed to have between 5 to 10 meters of belly of water. And of course, you can see, obviously, from side to side.
Yes.
So I think it's a very, very big achievement that a mainstream channel, educational channel like 106 FM, would allow to broadcast this subject, and this is a very big achievement. So how did you do that?
So you know, it's getting even more interesting, because the government now shutting down all this frequency all over the Israel.
Seriously?
They used to be, you know, Kol Campus.
Yeah,
you know,
I used to broadcast in Kol Campus. Yeah.
Okay, so they just recently closed by the government because that it's unsupervised by official authority. So they want to shut us down, but we're gonna keep on broadcasting, and we're gonna fight. And we are right now in a fight for surviving, you know, for having this freedom of speech to speak and broadcast music without official supervision, you know, you can say a civilian radio show. So they want to shut us down, and we will not let them. And in this moment in time, I think it's almost like something that even bigger than me, that it's happened right now, exactly when they're going to shut us down. So this is a great opportunity, and it is. It feels like a revolution. I feel like the first, the first one to walk on the moon. The first one to broadcast in Israeli radio, in Hebrew. This is, I don't talk about is often like this, but this is actually really big achievement. Yes, thank you very much.
It is, and I can say that, and I can give you my further support, and please do continue doing what you're doing, and this is really important, and well done for what you have done, and I've actually listened to the radio show, and in the radio show I kind of understood that you're actually addressing people who are not necessarily in the subject yet. It's like maybe some of them are, maybe some of them are not yet in the subject, but it's from the start. It's like you're
for the general public. For the general public.
For the general public. Yes. So for a radio show like that, it's a good approach, and well done.
All right. Now tell us, Alon, for a second.
Yeah, we're gonna do. Yes, I'm listening.
Yes. Tell us for a second, what was on the first show? I'm like showing now kinds of like moments from the show, from you and the car with Marcus Franco, our favorite guy, and of course at the studio afterwards. Tell us a little bit about what you spoke over there. It was like the first show about the flat Earth. How did you pick up the subjects that you're gonna talk about? Because this is like a very...
Listen, for me, I take religion right off the table right away.
Okay.
So it should be.
Buffering on that.
If you want about without putting any other, you can say hatnayot בעברית, it's called, like rules that we apply ourselves socially.
Conditioning.
Yeah, exactly.
Conditioning.
Conditioning. So we talked only about like water, moon. We just wrote few dots earlier, and obviously it was really like easy for us to speak in Hebrew on these topics because we do it all the time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, on Facebook, everybody asks you all the time. So we just picked the top subject that supposedly will get to the average listener to maybe raise an eyebrow and ask themselves, maybe this guy's not that fucked up like everybody else is saying, maybe they have some point. Maybe we should listen. Because I consider the ridiculous, you can say ridiculousness, I don't know, my English is not perfect, but of this subject, I take this in consider when I broadcasting about flat Earth, which means that a little bit of self-humor, if you laugh about yourself, this is also good.
Yeah.
So I cannot get offended, I'm not like Christian or Jew or Muslim. I present it in the most like investigating, officially police kind of investigation kind of way.
Okay.
I search for evidence, and the story come afterwards. So we put the religion out.
Right. It's like a Sherlock Holmes investigation. First, Sherlock Holmes finds that there was a murder. There's a body. There's a scene. Why did it happen and all that? That's a different question. But the evidence is there. So Sherlock Holmes starts with that. Yeah, very good. And I forgot what I wanted to say.
I will get this one, John. Anyway, so for the next shows, what are you planning for us to do? Like, how do you gonna continue that?
All right, so the next show I will host, I'm gonna speak about a lot of subjects, right? I mean, if you look on the truth, right, has a movement, not like as a political movement, but has a way to, exactly. So you first have to shatter different glasses floors that actually line one on top of each other. So you get into the political aspect first, right? And then you realize they tricked you. And then you get into the medicinal aspect of all. And then you get they tricked you as well. And then you get into the mathematical kind of investigation, and then you understand that numbers are actually just way to express thought, right? Like any other language. So if I can lie in Hebrew or in English, if I can be charismatic in any language, I can also be charismatic and lie with numbers, right? If I will prove you that the government owe you $100 million, which is possible to do this on the paper, will it be applied on the real world? Of course not, right? So when you take this into consider, it's change everything. I mean, you know, for me at least.
I think it's the most Israeli thing there is to think that the government or someone else is lying to you. It's in our blood. Anyway, and for me, like in person, the way that I got to know you was through the video of Avishai Sapir that he showed the movie of Where is the Curvature, and you were one of the guys that went down over there to the Dead Sea. And for me, especially from this whole 10 minutes of video, I do remember whatever Matan Gorodish was saying over there, and Madigal Mas and everything. They were all charming and lovable. But you just took the entire movie with like 3 words. You said, there's no curvature, you assholes. And that's it. Yeah. That pretty much sums it all up. And for me, it was a really, charming and authentic moment. Okay, in my perspective, how was in your perspective when you said this memorable sentence?
Listen, I deal in my life with Crohn's disease. Oh. So in this night, when people sleeping in the Dead Sea, I had to wake up in the middle of the night, like maybe 4 times, and my ass is freezing, you know. It's like really cold like at night, and I have to go back and out of the tent, and then when he filmed me, I think it was in the next day, I was like, you know, I was tired of all this argumenting about like 2 rebels in the Bes Medrash, you know. Yeah. Like two philosophers at some important whatever, and I just said no, en kimur kakot, you know, like
no curvature.
Like there is no curvature, bro. I mean, wake the fuck up. You know, I don't like to curse, but sometimes you just want to take somebody and just take them to the sea and like wake the fuck up.
Yeah. By the way, I remember what I wanted to say earlier. You mentioned like that you're not being offended by anyone, and that you sometimes you have those self humor moments, and we have to remember that we ourselves in the beginning were ridiculing this whole idea, and we were also the victims of our cognitive dissonance. So we have to remember that always when we talk to these people. Of course, we need to waken them up, like you say.
Okay, I'm showing right now this amazing moment. We should maybe end just a second. I want to wait up over here for a second. Hearing that?
הישנים והרדומים אשר בציון. אין כימור, יקקות. אין. תפסו, לא תמצאו, כי אין.
Dear, we lost you?
Yeah. No, you didn't lost me. I just showed everyone the moment of אין כימור, קקות. That's all.
Oh,
yeah.
That's shown on your screen. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so I guess.
All right.
I guess you have a longer hair and a beard over there, right? You're like you shaved all completely.
Yeah. Before I started studying, I shaved and.
You with us?
I talk about flat Earth, and if I want to do a radio show, I better look like I better look okay. Yeah. I better look like pretty normal, because I think that image is, I mean, I dressed, and you can see by the Om, the big Om right over my head here,
Yeah.
that I have many approaches, different approaches to different kind of, you can say, religions or esoteric knowledge thirsts. So because of that, I cannot get focused on a specific way of life. So I have to look objective. So I need to shave my beard and shave my head and look normal. So when somebody look at me, he said, all right, maybe what he said is pretty crazy, but I mean, he looks all right and he talks pretty, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it is true.
Perhaps. Anyway, again, Alon, I want to thank you for joining us. I think that we lost him. Yeah, no, they didn't lost him. Yeah, you see me here. Anyway, I want to thank you very much, Alon. It's been a pleasure, and thank you, and keep on going doing these radio shows and whatever you do in Flat Earth. One final piece of advice from me to you is, just do it, okay? Just do it. Whatever you want to do, just do it. And the best time to do things is like now, okay? This is like my advice as a creator in Flat Earth. Just because now, you know, future is an illusion. It's not existed, right? So now doing stuff, no matter how it comes out, this is the moment, you know? Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Whatever. Anyway, so thank you very much. Any words, John?
Yeah, don't give up. Keep on doing it, and thumbs up for whatever you're doing.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You too, guys. Thank you for hosting me in this show. ESH is a big thing, you know. It's maybe the first Hebrew show or Israeli show on Facebook that I've encountered with. So well done to us, guys.
Yeah.
I think we can all say that.
We're great.
Right?
Awesome.
Yes,
Great.
yes.
Alright, so we will go on to the next segment of our ESH News,
Thank you.
and see you over there. Okay, back again, and now we're gonna talk a little bit about the Flat Earth International Conference in Dallas 2019. It was a very exciting event. Happened over here in the week, not over here, I guess in Dallas on the weekend. And from my strolling around the internet and Facebook and whatever, saw lots of interesting people that were there. Got pretty much jealous that I'm not there, and what I decided to do with that is to give a call to my reporter on ground, Mr. Gary Hatter, and we will see later on the interview that I made with him when he was on the conference. How about you, John? How did you experience this faraway conference?
Well, I think the biggest thing on that conference this year, and it's the third year, if I'm not mistaken, was Benjamin Owen. Owen Benjamin. What's the first name?
Yeah, Owen Benjamin. Yeah, Owen Benjamin.
Owen Benjamin. So the comedian that became a flat earther, thanks to a lot to this guy David Weiss. And this is a picture of all of them together, and of course David Weiss here is standing on a chair. He's not that tall. Okay. I'm pretty short.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure too.
But
also Zionism is not that short. He's he's pretty big himself. I know.
Right, and here also this guy is I guess he's tall also.
David Robinson, of course, is really tall.
Yeah. Okay. So that's another. So Owen Benjamin was the big thing there, and of course
our favorite Rob Skiba is over here, right?
Right. And the whole vibes and the whole event is something very unique that does attract the attention of the media. the mainstream media, and also this year, also the attention of Infowars.
Yeah.
So Infowars
Ooh,
actually,
yeah, that's a big thing, right?
yeah, they actually sent this Greg Reese to report from the Flat Earth conference, and it's really interesting how it's in continuation to what we said last time in the last broadcast about Infowars. So this is really continuing to go into that, and it's really important that Alex Jones and Infowars are doing this, because this is raising the awareness of many people. And I see here he's interviewing David Weiss. Let's see more. Yeah.
He had this plane over there that he kind of like publishes app right? Oh, this is another.
Not sure what it was, but anyway.
Okay.
But there was also a street activism at the spot where John F. Kennedy assassinated. This is where David stands here.
Yeah.
It's exactly the spot where Kennedy was shot while driving in the car.
All right.
It's this very spot.
So where is the famous hill? Anyway,
probably here.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, I saw over there my good friend Johnny Scuba Dracula over there holding the Flat Earth, the research Flat Earth sign here. Is in the red T-shirt over there, and yeah, he's an awesome guy. I think it's his flag actually. Anyway, for me myself, I actually been conversating with Roxanne and Paul on the plane over there on I think it was Monday or Tuesday last week, and Paul on the plane was over there at Dallas, Texas, and after a few minutes into the interview, Mr. Mark Sargent himself went into the room, and I got to talk for the first time with Mark Sargent. It was very open eyes event for me, and it was very thrilling. I guess that this one it was before the conference, and this was my part, I guess, with covering this conference. And now I will show you the interview that I did with Mr. Gary Hatter. He was one of the organizers and the host of the Flat Earth Convention in Amsterdam.
Just before that, I just want to show you. This is another thing I uploaded to the.
Sure.
This is a mainstream report of something I think it belongs to CBS, one of the sub channels. And look at what they're doing here. They're showing a square flat Earth floating in space.
Yeah.
I mean, how can? And they had their own report.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at least it gets to the mainstream. It gets to the mainstream. You can see we have this Bob, great guy that speaks very well, and it's becoming an awareness. It's becoming to the public awareness, and even CNN, which is fake news.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Reported that the flat Earth conspiracy is spreading around the globe,
mm-hmm.
and they're using the word globe.
That's very funny. Anyway, John, so I guess we'll show now the movie of the interview I made with Gary Hatter, and we'll continue on afterwards with the next segment. Hey, hello, Gary. How are you? We got Gary over here. We got Gary over here from the Dallas convention, and I'm actually very jealous of him. And I got glad that I had the opportunity to have him as our, I guess, the our ESH News reporter on Dallas. This is what we have because we don't have any Israelis coming over there. So how's it going, Gary? Tell us good stuff. I already saw some of the footage you sent me. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, we just literally finished off with the Owen Benjamin 2-hour skit.
Yeah.
Excellent. Really, really good fun. It was entertaining. Yeah, there's some swearing in there, and he said some things that are controversial, but the actual energy and the enjoyment within the room was immense. And I've actually, on a side note, I actually said to him that I would like him to come over to the UK next year for the convention. He said that he'd definitely look at it.
Oh yeah. Good. Tell me, like a personal question, I see this whole thrill going on with Owen Benjamin lately, and I don't really understand what is the special thing about it. Why is it so eruptive right now? This whole thing with him. I saw part of this stand-up comedy act already, and it was good. It was nice. But what's the deal with him?
What it is, about 2 or 3 months ago, maybe 4 months ago, he actually he was talking to his people in his chat room, saying that he wanted to debate Eric Debay, but he didn't want to debate Eric Debay without having ammunition. So he then went to people that were in his chat, because obviously he's a comedian, and said, "Look, guys, I'm going to debate this flat Earth community. I'm going to debate Eric Debay, but what I need is help." And these people started coming through with their thoughts on it and why the Earth is basically in their eyes a globe. And he said, "Okay, you can't actually expect me to go forward with this." So he was asking his people for advice, and he was dismissing what they were saying because it was very weak. And so instead of coming out and saying that he believes in the Earth is flat, he was going to people and say, "Look, I can't believe in the flat Earth. Help me, guys! I want to, beat Eric Debay in a chat, but you're going to have to give me ammunition to work with." And that's exactly what happened. So, and then eventually he got to the point that it was just obvious, and he just came out officially that he's a flat earther.
Okay, that's a very nice story. Let me know, Gary. Tell me your perception from the convention. In my perspective, you're the one who kind of introduced me to the Flat Earth Convention world. So I want to hear your honest opinion about the convention. How's it going? How's the lineup? How's the people over there? What's your recap on that?
Yeah, I mean it's a very busy place because you've got 26 speakers, I think. But instead of having 26 speakers in 2 days that you wouldn't fit in, then what they have 2 rooms operating. So you have I'll actually take a photograph as an example, but you have like the main speaker, and you have the next door, you have a workshop, and people can choose which room they want to be in. So as a rule, you probably get about 80% probably choose the main room, and about 15 to 20% go into the workshop. And it can be different people. You have Iru in there, you've got Bob Nobel, Cami, she actually was in the workshop. So different people are in there. So it gives you a choice of being in 2 different rooms. And there's obviously breaks in between. So yeah, it's been a very busy day, very long, but it's been rewarding.
Okay, I want to ask you something a little bit personal. How is your feeling as an Englishman in Dallas nowadays? Is it do you see, the differences between, European flat earthers and American flat earthers when you all come together? I guess there's people from lots of countries over there.
There's no real difference apart from the language, really. You know, that we say certain things, like we say aluminium, they say aluminum,
okay.
We say Caribbean, they say Caribbean. So yeah, there's slight differences of the way we speak, but the actual and the food is a little bit different. I mean, people here, it's really strange. They can have fruit and savoury and dessert all on the same plate, which is very bizarre, but I've seen it before. But as a rule, everything is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So I've just seen Iru and Zach walking past. So yeah, it's
other people. Which kind of other countries are represented over there with the people from what you saw?
including like the people like Eru. We've got Argentina, we've got Canada, obviously America, Switzerland, obviously UK with Dave and I. Let me think. There's some people here that are they live in America, but they're actually French. I'm not too sure. It's a good question, actually. I don't. Oh, somebody from Mexico. That's right. But I'm not sure of any other countries represented outside the ones I've just mentioned.
Okay. Which kind of like speech are you most like looking forward to in your for your personal I don't know, wish to see?
Well, I think the what Owen Benjamin did tonight was really fantastic. But I would say Rob Skiba is actually pretty good at presenting. He did a part 1 today, and he's doing part 2 tomorrow. And that was enjoyable.
Yeah.
That was like you didn't want to leave the room. You were enjoying it. But yeah, I've sent you the video of Owen Benjamin, and he does the whole basically about an hour and 50 minutes, and it's really good. When he does the music, it's powerful. It's really good.
I saw him with his organ over there, like playing and singing, and it's like it's a new way of presenting in flat Earth, if I'm correct, right?
It was like mixing what he's learned with his stories, with flat Earth and music. It was just a combination of things, and it made it very entertaining.
Good, great.
Very much so.
Okay, great. So anyway, to tell you, to be honest, I talked to my flat Earth buddies over in Israel. We're all very jealous, and we all very we're kicking ourselves that we didn't go. I know we missed all that. But anyway, we are planning. To spread the word to bring everybody over here for the convention pretty much soon. And of course I will be in contact with you, giving me all kinds of advices and with all the good talks that we have. In addition, I sent my regards to everyone that I don't know that you meet over there, and I believe it's gonna be till when? Till tomorrow? Is it
the convention finishes tomorrow night, but then I'm here till Sunday because there's going to be a lot of people in the hotel that are going to be here on Saturday. So there's also a swimming pool and a sauna here, so I'm going to start using some of the facilities.
All right, good. Tell me, beside giving the general feeling, beside going to the convention and to the speakers and all of that, how is the interaction between the people? Have you met new friends, get a lot of interesting people in these 2 days that you're over there?
It's very similar to what we had in Amsterdam, really. Just literally, it doesn't matter if you're meeting people for the first time or you're meeting people for the 5th time. It's all very friendly. It's very good.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Gary, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for having this conversation, and I will share it in our weekly update that we have over here at ESH News. And all I have to say is have fun and enjoy.
Well, I'm going to go to bed now because it's really late. It's about 2 o'clock.
Yeah, right.
Well, so let me just have a quick look. It is 21 minutes past 2 in the morning, so I'm tired. But it's okay. I need to go to bed, but I wanted to do this interview first.
All right, good. I really appreciate that you made the time to do that and postpone your sleep. So good night, Gary, and have a good time.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Alright guys, so we are back now, just me and John, and we're gonna talk about our favorite movie of the week, segment we did also last week, and it went out pretty fine, so we decided to do that again. And today we picked a movie of our very own Mr. Avishai Sapir. It's the second time we're already mentioning him on this show. And he did a movie which was kind of hilarious, and I watched it and I kind of enjoyed that. And it talks about astronauts, space, stuff like that, right?
Right. It's only a 7.5 minutes video, and he just was tuning into the live, so quote unquote, NASA broadcast of a walking in space last Friday.
Yeah.
And he's kind of showing us the screen, and he's pointing out the ridiculous things that they're doing there, and he's asking, what are you doing? What the hell are you doing there? And it's kind of the things that they're doing do not make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was a mechanic. He knows about these kind of things, about screwing screws and doing similar things. And what we see in reality here is that he's just trying to stick something into nothing.
Yeah.
And what is he trying to accomplish here? This is totally. And what makes the video great is the way Avishai speaks in Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
During the video. He really puts it down to the very basic, What is
it's like like let's say you're doing a stupid thing on the street, in the middle of the street, so a guy will come at you and will yell at you the same way. What the hell are you doing over there? I'm not clear about this. And what do you see over there in the video right now? You see that it's just like playing with that thing over and over again. It actually doesn't do anything, right?
Yeah. He's this so-called astronaut. He's turning things around, making things float next to him, and he's like touching and moving things from one place to another, but he does actually nothing. And further on in the video, we can also see the NASA people from the control that are embarrassed for him, I think. But it's really amazing, and
now he's like putting his attention on something really important. That this thing over here, you can see that there's actually a cinema camera over here in this place. That it is very essential and important that there will be someone that will document it in in a kind of like cinematic kind of way. And that gives another aspect of truth in some way in the final results, because once you see in good quality all the hardworking people of NASA doing their stuff, so you're probably sure that it's true what they're doing over there, and what this guy is handling is in hand is very, very important and essential to the space mission or to understand the universe, right?
Right, and it's not just a normal camera here. This is a fully fledged camera, cinematic camera for the television recording. And look at this guy here.
Yeah.
Now he's looking at as if I don't know, he's chewing something. And this guy is supposedly moving right now, in the recording, in a ridiculous speed of 20 Mach, 20 times the speed of sound. And he's doing what he's doing. And then now, what Avishai has caught, he has caught the same fakery that we see usually on the space station when they usually fake stuff, with the green screen, with the augmented reality. So the same thing happens here. Only the objects that are moving have this glitch in this video.
Oh.
And it's kind of hard to see maybe on the screen sharing here, but if you go to the actual video on YouTube, you can see that more clearly. And this is augmented reality, for sure. So the same thing that they're doing in the space, so-called, supposedly in the space station, they're doing outside, and all these floating things around at a ridiculous speed of 20 Mach. This is unbelievable, and it's like, and it's all meant, of course, to make us believe that there's space and there are floating things in space, and that's and he caught them. I remember on Friday I was watching this, and I was wondering what's fake in the video, and he was at the same time watching. he actually made the video on the spot and caught them.
Oh, what is
And
this silly
it's a
thing?
very,
What is this silly thing?
who knows? I don't know.
Could be one of my children's toy, right? Or something.
You know, also, and they use the NASA people. As they broadcast, they use all these kind of terms, this terminology that sounds so sophisticated. And oh, now we're operating the infrared thing, and you know, and it's like, oh now he's attaching the module into like. And it's really ridiculous.
Why does he got a mirror on his hand? You see this mirror? What is it good for? What is that?
Yeah, it's supposedly a mirror that should be showing the astronaut what's going behind him, what's going on behind him, and I personally think it's for us to see what they want us to show that is around him, behind him. Sorry, but if they would really want to show us, then he could just pan the camera 180 degrees and show us what's behind it.
Yeah, there's no like picture of space whatsoever in this video, right? It's just like floating stuff and hands handling with them, right?
Right. And this is fresh. This is a NASA live broadcast that they broadcasted for like more than 2 hours, I think. Of a walking in space that achieved absolutely nothing, and he just caught the fakery here, and it was so amusing. Of course, it's in Hebrew, so you need to understand what he's saying, but still, it's very to the point.
Okay. Yeah. This is the moment of preparing, I believe, right? Okay.
Right.
All right, good. So thank you, Avishai Sapir, for your usual awesome work, and keep on doing those kind of things. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just to remind everybody, his channel is Back to FE. That's Back to Flat Earth. That's his YouTube channel, but of course he's uploading videos in Hebrew for the Israeli audience. So, but if you're still interested to see what's being reported to the Israeli audience, then go ahead and check out this channel.
Yeah, or ask us, I guess. Anyway, so thank you very much, and we'll go on to the next segment, talk about more flat Earth stuff. Wait on. Hello everyone, we are back to our main segment of this ESH News Weekly edition, and for that special moment we got Mr. 007 Richard from the Canarian Islands, and he's been actually, I will give my words about this special guy. I already knew him for like a month and a half or something like that, and but in this time he became like, I don't know, a friend in my heart in all sorts of ways. We got into a real deep conversations and talks about flat Earth, about life in general, about whatever. And it's the feeling is, regardless of what he says or whatever, the feeling is always like comfortable and easy with him. And so welcome to our show, Richie. Actually, lately, I saw that you became like pretty much of a star lately. I saw you in Paul on the Plane and on Lifting the Lid, if I remember correctly. And you're now busy week.
It's been busy, but not really.
Okay.
Not really busy. I'd like it to be busier, if I'm honest.
And here you have here with us on ESH News on Sunday, so it's good.
Yeah.
So welcome to our show. And today we're going to talk about a very hot subject, okay? Subject we told that we're going to speak about. It's we call it Zionism in general, okay? But it's more like approach that me and my partner John over here we gave to this whole subject, and we will talk about it shortly. John, say your hellos, your introduction for this segment, and what we're gonna hear in the next, 30, 40 minutes or so.
Right, yes. So this is indeed really a hot potato, something that Patricia Steer, if she would be back on the broadcasting, she would be very maybe happy to have. But anyway, this is a very serious subject, and something that we as Israelis, as flat earther Israelis, we find it a bit difficult to cope with. And I'll share my screen and I'll start and I'll explain exactly what I'm talking about. I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah, just first of all, before that, just tell us a little bit, Richie, just in few words, what's your interest with Zionism? What is that? Why did you agree to be in our conversation over here? What do you think?
I think, Nir, because I'm 42 years old. Yeah. English born and bred, and I've only seen what our Western mainstream media has allowed us to see. Mm-hmm. And then when I fell down the rabbit hole in 2013, mm-hmm. then there's an awful lot of propaganda, an absolute ton of propaganda all over the internet. And I've never, until meeting you, mm-hmm. never had an Israeli friend. Mm-hmm. So meeting you was really, it was something that I've wanted, I wanted to have a friend in Israel for a long time. Mm-hmm. Just never really come across anybody. So it was a blessing. Good. Meeting you, man.
Good. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't, like Jewish people in general, don't look good in the media that you consumed till this moment, right?
Unfortunately.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the impression that I've been left with it's actually largely from Hollywood, mm-hmm. and the entertainment industry, particularly the comedy. Mm-hmm. Jews are absolutely torn apart in comedy. Mm-hmm. And obviously, the likes of Woody Allen, mm-hmm. He's made it an art, but he's done that kind of taken. He's been, doing parodies of Jewish life and stuff, hasn't he? We've never gained a true or accurate perception of what a Jewish person is actually like, and I mean particularly a Jewish person living in Israel.
Okay.
Because Jewish people living outside of Israel, I think there's, it's different.
Yeah, it's very different.
It is very different. Yes,
okay.
Yes, indeed.
So we will start now, and John, tell us what was the starting point of this presentation that we are about to give.
So for me, I started with Flat Earth beginning of 2016, and I came across many videos, and one of them was ODD TV, and he made some good videos about Flat Earth. I really admit that he treats the subject very well, and he really is convincing when he's talking about Flat Earth. And he has this logo here, ODD TV, kill the programming. But for me, as an Israeli who became a Flat Earther, when I see kill the programming, I saw something that really then bothered me. I kind of wondered, where is the programming? Is it maybe not just on one side, maybe it's also on the other side, and because brainwashing goes both ways, mm-hmm. doesn't go just one way. So here on an ODD TV that I'm playing right now, I mean ODD explains a lot of stuff about Flat Earth, and then suddenly he puts the flag of Israel here. Now, it's kind of saying that, okay, so Israel, my country, and me as an Israeli, I am responsible for the flat Earth, lie. Sorry, for the globe lie.
Globe lie, yeah.
And for deceiving all the world. Is it my country? Am I included? When he shows my flag, and I kind of wondered, okay, maybe if we could do something else, maybe if I'll go here to that page, and instead of the Israeli flag, I'll put the United States flag, because the United States, as far as I know, is the biggest criminal in the flat Earth deception. I mean, the flat Earth hiding the flat Earth with NASA and the CIA and all those other things. So why wouldn't he put his own country's flag? Because when he puts his own country flag, he includes not just the American government; he includes all Americans.
Yeah.
So that's what bothers me.
Okay.
Why would he put my? And it all and of course we all know that it all comes down to a word that many people hear about, but don't know really what the meaning of it. And the word is Zionism. And I think it's extremely important for ODD to understand. I hope he will hear this. And I'm not against him. I just think he has a misconception about what Israelis are, what Israel is, what Zionism is, and what different types of Zionism we have.
Yeah.
And so the story begins.
Okay. You want to add something, Richard?
Yeah, I was just going to say America is the most pre-programmed nation regarding Israel, and it's been made worse. It's been exacerbated by the orders in some states. It is affecting people. It's affecting their livelihood. It's affecting their there's insurance policies that it's a little paragraph in the insurance policy now that you're basically not allowed to say anything against Israel. You cannot, if you speak out against Israel, it's anti-Semitism, it's hate, it's all these stuff, and there's all kinds of ramifications in America in different states, not in all states, but in different states. And I think that New York happens to be one of the states that you cannot say a word against Israel, because if you do, they'll destroy you.
Yes. I totally agree with you, and this is not only about Israel. This is also about if you tell somebody you're an illegal immigrant to New York, or if you say this and this in New York, everything became so politically correct, overly politically correct.
But the thing is, people are so confused because they're basically, to the West, Israel is Rothschilds.
And
we
will get to that pretty soon.
This is the confusion, isn't it?
Exactly. We'll get. This is the heart of our issue over here. And
Nir, just before you start with the presentation, I just want to illustrate something. Okay, so I'm an Israeli, okay, and let's say I'm a Zionist, okay. I'm a Zionist really like in the way I define Zionism, but let's put that aside for a moment. So I'm an Israeli. I can call the White House, okay, right now. Let's call the White House and tell them that I'm an Israeli and I'm a Zionist, and I instruct the United States what I want them to do. Can I do that? No, I can't. I can't do that. And so why am I being included in this group that is supposedly controlling the world? And I'm not a banker. I have no relation to the Rothschild family. Most Israelis don't. People in the street don't have any relation to bankers and Rothschilds? And Rothschilds are, by the way, well, it's a long story. They're not really Jewish, but that's the beginning of our presentation. So, Nir, I hand over the
okay,
floor.
my words before I open this presentation. First of all, the most important, I guess, the name of this presentation, we call it Honest Zionism. Now, the word honest has been thought of, okay, and we got into this word because we believe that honesty is kind of like a personal thing, first of all, and I think that it kind of like express the way that we approach now Zionism, as me and John are trying to imitate how we approached flat Earth at the beginning. Okay.
Can I give you a thought?
Yeah.
Sure.
I considered myself. Well, I considered myself to be when I was in the religious paradigm. I considered myself to be somewhat of a Christian Zionist, as in I understood Zionism to be bringing about the change, bringing about the final battle, the final judgment, so that we could just get on. We could deal with that thing and we can get on with it and live happily ever after. And so for me, I'm still, although I don't live in a religious paradigm, I still believe in the Most High. I have a different understanding of God. I feel that we have higher selves that we communicate with, that we've been confused into thinking that we're praying to God when we speak to them. The Most High is something I don't think that we can actually, well, it's not even something that we need to communicate with, because I think we're part of it. But it's about bringing the change. I want to bring about the change, the enlightenment. I want everybody to know the truth. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Just want everybody to know the truth and then move forward from that point.
So this is why we call it Honest Zionism, and our research for the truth was made in the same way that we did it with Flat Earth. Meaning, when we got like Flat Earth, so we just we saw all the facts that we get in our senses, and then try to connect the dots and saw the big picture, and kind of like understood that the world is obviously flat. Now,
can I just say one thing?
Yeah, sure.
I have to say it. I'm really sorry. I have to say it, right? Because I have to stand up for this. When we say flat Earth, we trigger 1 million people into just not even listening. As soon as we say flat Earth, we trigger 1 million people into not listening. If we tell them globe lie, we're being lied to about the globe, and we can prove that beyond any shadow of a doubt. We can prove that we're being lied to about the Earth not being a globe that they teach us it is. Right? We can prove that, but we can't prove beyond the shadow of any doubt absolutely that the Earth is entirely flat, because not one of us has gone around and mapped the entire area. Not one of us has seen the entire room that we're playing in. So all we can say with any 100% confidence, and being able to prove it 100% beyond any reasonable doubt, is that the globe is a lie.
All right.
Yes. But by the way, Richie, feel free to intervene and ask questions, because we want your feedback and questions on this, because you're coming from a different perspective, and you're not Israeli, and you would probably give us
quite an ignorant perspective, to be honest. But I think it's one that's I'm not alone. I think it's an ignorant perspective that's shared by pretty much most of us. This side of this side of it.
Good. So I will take on from that one, okay, just to present the presentation, and I will tell you that I started to say earlier that we're investigating that as we're doing in Flat Earth, meaning when we look at Zionism, we can't ignore events and people that live through certain time period, and we can't ignore I don't know, all kinds of like relevant events and people that were here in this time, okay? But we can question the processes, okay? The processes, the kind of like a thing that connect all those dots. We can question them. What kind of like process and what kind of like things made people do certain things, okay? And this is what we're gonna question over here. And from that we're gonna get our own perspective. Again, how it's like related to the truth itself. It's our truth, okay? It's our truth. And people from the outside that they kind of have the narrative of what is Zionism can be very, I don't know, opposing to us, or maybe think it's like this presentation is loads of crap and we're just conspiracists and whatever. But I want to give my perspective of what how I see Zionism at this current moment. It could be correct for now, it could be correct for the future, it could be correct, it could be not correct, but whatever. It's a thing that I'm thinking right now. It's the way that I try to look at the Zionism without any masks, trying without any political agenda to tell those things. And I think that we will start with that, right?
Yeah, without any bias, and that's what we really tried to do. And by the way, regarding what you said, Richie, if you heard about the Zen Garcia case, the court case in Georgia, where neither the globe or flat Earth could be proven, and he was like, so it's really, if you go by the court, then really it's like that. So
I mean, he basically he was unable to prove. They're unable to prove that it's a globe. That's insufficient evidence for him to state his case. So
that was just a side comment to
All right, John. Okay. So let's get started with what is Zion. I guess Zionism comes from the word Zion.
Are you sharing your screen?
No. I'm showing the presentation right now. It's fine. Don't worry. Okay.
Okay, because I don't see it.
Okay, but we're talking about the first slide. What is Zion? Okay. And can you tell us, John, what is Zion? Where does it come from, and how it's been used today? Okay, and how did it come to Zionism?
Well, the word Zion, except from being a mysterious place in the Matrix, where you know you have, it's one of the original names of the 70 names of Jerusalem, and traditionally, according to the Bible, King David gave the name Jerusalem to Jerusalem, and he named and one of the names he gave was Zion. So Zion is actually another name for Jerusalem. That's about it.
Okay, about Jerusalem itself, we probably more or less know its history, whatever, and we got it in the Bible, and also like afterwards, after the exile of the Jewish people in 70 AD, we got different people that ruled this this city, and we get into the point of I guess the late 11th century, okay, when we had this is where our story begins, okay, and it begins not because Jerusalem begins at that time, but it begins because the Crusaders arrived to Jerusalem as part of the Crusades. They promised them, what did they promise them, Richard? Like eternal life, or what did they offer them when they went off to the Crusades?
I think they were offering, free passage to heaven when you die if you accept Jesus.
Okay. It's a very typical thing in Christianity to tell people go on a conquest to in God's name and stuff like that. Is it like?
For the Crusades, that was do you know, what we've learned about the Crusades is 100% propaganda, unfortunately.
Okay.
So what I've learned through my research of the Crusades, what my common sense and my discernment tells me is that the Crusades were all about stealing knowledge.
Okay.
It was all about going in and basically
and I guess
taking any sort of artifacts, anything that had any of the previous civilizations.
Okay, and
Right.
I think the one who
any
the guys that went in the head of the Crusaders were actually the Templars. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And over there,
that was the thing. That was the whole point. I think the Crusades were just kind of a big mask for them to go in, just like they did in Afghanistan.
Okay.
When they threw over Saddam Hussein, what did they do for the first 3 days that they were there? They destroyed all the artifacts in the museums, or they stole. What they didn't steal, they destroyed. And then they were finding those artifacts lettered on the streets in America. Babylonian kings and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Things are thousands of years old. Their mission was to go in there and destroy everything.
Yeah, and I
they
guess
didn't want any of the previous knowledge.
throughout history, we can see the Templars' ambition to conquer either physical treasures or maybe like even spiritual treasures, right? Things that are not really clear to us yet what are there, but there are certainly spiritual treasures in our world. Am I correct?
I mean, it's definitely spiritual because there's a story that once they got to, I think they found Solomon's temple or something, and once they'd looted that, then they went back, and they went back because extremely rich and powerful.
Yeah.
They obviously had to disappear.
And they're the ones who are in charge also on the banking business, right? They're the one who initiated the banking. Okay. So they got money, that's for sure. And I believe that the Crusades were actually it's considered like a big fall for the Crusaders because eventually the city remained in the hands of the Muslims. But I think that what they got from over there, the treasures that they were hunting over there, these things they got and kind of get out with them. So
I think this is why they didn't actually. The mission was never to actually drive the Muslims out. It wasn't like when they destroyed the Ottoman Empire. It wasn't like that. It was they went in. They went to very specific sites. They were there for as long as it took them to ransack the place, clear everything out or destroy it, and then it was.
Okay.
Yeah, and they also launched additional crusades after that, but they didn't manage to capture Jerusalem in the other ones. But I think only the first one. They managed to establish like a 100-year monarchy here, and then the Muslims came again. Okay.
Now moving forward a little bit. The thing is that we got the Templars, okay? They are like our remains from history, and then afterwards, what we're seeing is still we can see Templars. Maybe even today there are people who declare themselves as Templars, but later on, what you see over here in this slide, this is guys that we are well familiar with. These are the Freemasons, and we're seeing over here we're seeing two very interesting things. First of all, on the left side, you can see Order of the Red Cross, okay, and Order of the Knights of Malta, and Order of the Knights of the Templars, the Templar Commandery. Now, those guys, you can see clearly that those are the Templars, and they have a very unique place inside the Freemasons. And besides that, two other symbols that are very noticeable is, first of all, the one that I magnified is of course the Star of David that we're all familiar with, and on the other side we got the menorah. It's written down Royal Master over here, but and we got the Jewish menorah over here in the Freemasons. Now, So this is kind of like a weird thing to find those symbols over here, or maybe it's not weird, whatever. From on the left side of this slide, we can see what kind of a shield of. We can see a lion inside this Star of David, and this is actually the symbol of the House of Rothschild that we all familiar of. And the House of Rothschild is of course related to the Templars, to the Freemasons. And we are discussing now, we're starting our discussion with this guy that we're presenting, Mr. Edmund James de Rothschild. And he lived between 1845 till 1934. And he established, maybe he didn't establish, but he managed for this time the foundation of Edmund de Rothschild. You can see over in the slide that there's a long history of bankers before him, Meyer Amschel Rothschild, and those guys came. Let's get back to Rothschild himself. Those guys came in the middle of the 19th century, and yes.
I just want to just to focus on this slide where you have this first Rothschild. Meyer.
I can't see any of these slides, by the way.
No, that's okay. Don't worry. Believe us. Okay. Yes.
You will be able to see them in the finalized video.
Yeah.
So the first Rothschild banker was Meyer Amschel Rothschild. He lived from 1744 to 1812, and he was the first of the banking dynasty of the Rothschild family. He was Jewish. Okay. However, the next generations that came after him, his children and the entire family of the Rothschilds started marrying other people who are not Jewish, and this is perfectly fine. But according to Judaism, that over time they lost their Judaism and connection to Judaism, because according to Judaism, in order to be a Jew, you must have a Jewish mother. So over the generations. And today, most of them are not Jews, if not all of them. So
I mean, that sort of touches on an interesting side of Judaism that myself and Nir have been discussing about whether or not it is something that is carried through the mitochondrial DNA, or if it's actually
we'll get to that
sense of being.
We'll get to that, I guess, Richard, afterwards.
Also, another thing that I want to say is that in the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church was reigning supreme, and they dictated that the Jews cannot do this occupation, they cannot do this occupation. So the only one of the few occupations that they could do is to lend money with interest, and that's because according to Christianity, it was forbidden for Christians to lend money with interest.
So they were forced into the situation.
Exactly. So they were forced by the Catholic Church into that situation, and they became good at it. Okay, but
that's where the ego took over.
Yeah.
And then Rothschild turned up.
So according to the legend, the first Rothschild was a good man, but his descendants were corrupt and became more and more corrupt.
Because this is what money does.
Yes, I guess.
Yeah,
the money and the love of money.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Guys, we got a presentation to present over here, and we're gonna do it, I guess, fast, okay? All right, let's move forward. We're talking about this guy over here, Mr. Edmund James de Rothschild. He came on in the middle of the 19th century, and he came with the idea of establishing a country in the lands of the old Israel. It was called back then Palestine, and over on those, and he came over and started what he calls, he was one of the supporters of what we called the practical Zionism. This guy over here is Lilienblum and Pinsker, and those guys kind of like cooperated with him back in the 19th century, and they brought the idea of coming and settling in Israel. Now, I want to speak a very important thing about the motive, okay? If Edmund the Rothschild was indeed a Templar and was indeed a Freemason, so I do think that his intention to come over here to the land of Israel wasn't like, let's say, a Jewish motive or any kind of like other historical motive. It was kind of like a continuation of the Crusades. Okay, he came over here to the same land that the Crusades came in about 600-700 years ago, and wanted to continue this conquest of this land. And there was, I guess that in his opinion, this country still had treasures, physical, spiritual treasures, whatever. And the whole purpose of him coming and establishing these settlements at the late of the 19th century, he had kind of like a reason to do so, and he called it Zionism. This is what he called it, the practical Zionism, and we'll soon show you other kind of Zionism. They are the ones who kind of like followed him, and the practical Zionism is the one who's in charge on the first Aliyah. Aliyah, it's like an ascendant and like immigration to Israel, but it also like makes you spiritually high. Okay, Aliyah, it's like going up in Hebrew. And the first Aliyah in the years 1881 till 1803 was called the Baron's Aliyah. Was called the Rothschild Aliyah, because what he did in this time, he just established settlements in different parts of the land. It's kind of, I'm showing that in the map right now. Settlements of Mazkeret Batya, Rishon LeZion, Petach Tikva, Binyamina, Zichron Yaakov, Rosh Pina, Ashdod Yaakov. All those settlements are spread out very like evenly throughout the land of Israel. And he came over here and established those settlements, and he brought his clerks to come and manage the work. The Jewish guys were just like puppets over there. They didn't do like anything. They were like owning the lands. He gave the lands to Jewish people for the British or French clerks to run this place and to employ Arab Muslims, the guys that were here back then. Okay, this wasn't anything like practical, if I say that correctly, because it's kind of like I know, employ someone else and let someone else do the job for you. And this was kind of like the harsh criticism we got on this Aliyah, that those cities weren't actually built by Jewish people. Now, and those cities, as you see today, Rosh Pina, Zichron Yaakov, Mazkeret Batya, those cities are built in a heavy Masonic architecture style and buildings, and all the streets are built with a very Masonic style way of building. And and this was the first Aliyah over here at Israel, and it kind of like enlightened the whole Zionist movement. Okay, this Aliyah, but the one that made the difference afterwards was actually this guy. He came along, Theodor Herzl. He came along. He was born a little bit afterwards, at 1860 till 1804. This is very interesting. The date of his death. And Mr. Herzl, he brought in the political Zionism. He was actually influenced from the Dreyfus affair back in, I think it was 1894, where he kind of like understood that the Jewish people are suffering harsh anti-Semitism in Europe, and he needs to rescue them and needs to give them a country. Now, the land of Israel wasn't totally like totally on his mind. He just wanted any kind of country, and the difference between the practical Zionism of as we saw before, supported by the Rothschilds, and his Zionism was just about the way of action. Okay, the guy from the practical Zionism wanted to come over here to the land of Israel to gain all those treasures, and they had money to do so. So they said, okay, we're just going to found all kinds of settlements. But this guy, he didn't have money, Theodor Herzl, from the political Zionism, and he just wanted to gain like a political influence that will gain him control over this piece of land. And he tried to go to to the Turkish Sultan and to the German leader over there, and try to get all kinds of like approvals or certificates, like the charter of this piece of land.
Yes, and by the way, back then the area that was called Palestine was controlled by the Ottoman Empire, the Turkish Empire, and the name Palestine, by the way, just to explain, it's a name of an area, and the name was invented by the Romans to punish the Jewish people after they rebelled 2 times and expelled from their homeland, because there was a province of Judea that was more or less independent in the Roman Empire. But after the Jewish people rebelled, the Romans wanted to take all remnants of Jewish heritage from the land, so they named it Palestine.
Yeah.
That's just.
Okay, good.
Can I just pop something in?
Yeah.
Can I just pop something in here? Because I mentioned to you that myself and Roxanne have been watching the video by Emily Elizabeth Windsor Craggs, I think her name was, and one of the things she's talking about in there is actually when King George, because obviously our king was involved in the whole thing. It was King George in the late 1800s, wasn't it? So King George's bastard son, illegitimate son, German, Austrian obviously, who Emily is saying that it was actually it was Adolf Hitler. And Adolf Hitler took exception to King George granting the land, granting Palestine to the Jews and to the Rothschilds. He didn't like that.
No, he didn't.
He didn't like that.
He was surprised that
he murdered.
Yeah.
But she's saying that he murdered King George, and that's why King George didn't lay in state. He was in a closed casket. He didn't lay in state at his funeral. It was only the military at his funeral. No family were there because because Adolf Hitler blew his face off with a gun, and then ran off. So got away, snuck away, and then obviously started the Socialist Party.
Okay.
What year was it?
This honestly, I don't remember. I don't remember. This is the first time I've ever heard this, but I just wanted to pop it in there because we're talking about the start of Israel, and this is a bit of a bombshell. I don't know how much credibility it has, but
I'm not so personally. I'm not so sure because if we compare the dates and when Adolf Hitler was alive and when that king, I don't know. It's the first time I'm hearing about it, so I don't know.
Okay.
But,
let's continue on with the presentation.
I
guys?
think we need to look into it. I think we need to look into it another time.
All right, good. All right, so we got into this guy Theodor Herzl, okay, and we got into these guys from the practical Zionism. Now, the biggest collusion that they had happened in 1903, okay, and it was around the Uganda proposal. This was a proposal that they got from the British government and offered them the land of Uganda in Africa in order that the Jewish people can come over there and settle over there. Now, the big collision that was over there was between the political Zionism of Herzl, that he actually supported this proposal. And he said, it's not Israel, it's not the land, the Palestine or whatever, the land of the Bible that we wanted, but it's a land that can support Israelis. they support the Jewish people from all the rights in Europe. But from the other hand, the practical Zionism, they told, no. We don't want that, okay? We don't want any other land. We wanted
Rothschild
to go. The Rothschild. They said, "Oh, I know why I want to go to Israel. I know what's in there. This is where we're gonna go. And no Uganda proposal is gonna change our mind about this." So there was the big congress that Herzl kind of like announced that we're going on the Uganda proposal. It was called the Weepers Congress. Okay, that everybody started to weep and cry for him that they don't want to go to Uganda, but he still stood firm with his decision.
He was actually serious about having Israel in Africa, somewhere in Africa. He was because for him, any piece of land would be good for if it's suitable for the Jewish people. So
now the collision was over that Congress, and he was actually started to be cooperative about it. But then something happened. I guess Mr. Theodor Herzl died. According to whatever they taught us and written in books, he died out of the disease, out of measles, if I remember correctly. This is what they told us. To have this guy after this decision gets having death, it brings up all kinds of questions,
Sounds like he was Clinton. Sounds like he was.
Yeah, nowadays on these things we were saying, Epstein didn't kill himself, So this was the version of the beginning of the 20th century. I don't know. I can't really clearly say if he was murdered or not, but I do believe that some people didn't want him alive because of this Uganda proposal, and for that we will keep our imagination wild and see what we can think of Herzl's death. But the thing that happens right afterwards was this guy that came along, okay, Mr. Chaim Weizmann. And Chaim Weizmann, he was born in 1874, lived till 1952. We call him here the president, okay, because wherever he go, he was the first president of the land of Israel. And this guy came along after Herzl, and he came to the Zionist Congress, and he suggested what is called to be synthetic Zionism. Now, you should understand that this guy was, throughout all his life, besides being a politician, he was a scientist, okay? He was, considered a really smart scientist and a good one, and not from the one that we actually kind of like, but he was a scientist. And he managed somehow with works of creation to do this synthetic Zionism, which was kind of like, in my perspective at least, not really a big thing, because he just said, oh, you know what, there is like practical Zionism and there is like political Zionism, so what we do to compensate everyone, that everybody will be happy, what we'll do, we'll take both of them together and combine them, meaning we'll do the immigration to Israel, and then while we're doing that, we'll try to make political efforts to gain this recognition from the other countries, as it actually happened about 12 years afterwards with the Balfour Declaration. But between that, you have to take into mind very important thing is action during the World War I. Okay, was the thing that credited him in the eyes of the British government, and he actually invented the synthetic acetone solution for weapons in the First World War. Now,
for chemical weapons.
For chemical, yeah, I can call it chemical weapons. It's plain and simple. It's chemical weapons.
So he used the word synthetic.
Yeah.
Which sounds pretty weird for a political movement.
Yeah.
I mean, like in chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
This is what he was involved with. This was his profession,
Also, the official story that he gave the British some inventions with explosives.
Yeah.
But of course, also this what you were describing.
Yeah, the acetone solution. And afterwards, after the First World War, they acknowledged him and acknowledged Rothschild. I guess the British government, and I guess the British Freemasons, which are like I think the strongest one in the whole British, in the whole Europe or even in the world. I think the sources came from the British ones. Am I correct, Richard? About the British Freemasons.
Say that again, dude.
About the British Freemasons, are they considered to be like the strongest one, the most influential ones?
It's actually the Scottish Freemasons.
The Scottish ones.
The most. It's the Scottish Freemason rites that are the most. That's where the British. Basically, everything above the 3rd degree, I think, is Scottish Freemasonry because it used to be Masonry, and there were 3 degrees, and then it was taken over and turned into Freemasonry, and there were 33 degrees. Mm-hmm. The top degrees are certainly, like the honorary 33rd degree, the presidents all are. That's Scottish Freemasonry.
Yeah. So this guy continued on after the Balfour Declaration was a document that the British government gave Chaim Weizmann, and it was addressed to Rothschild himself, and they tell him, okay, we're gonna establish a home for the Jewish people in the land of Palestine, in the land of the historic land. And this was a big accomplishment for the Jewish movement, for Zionism in general back then.
Let's also give the historic perspective. It was World War I, and the British were winning over the Ottoman Empire, and they conquered Palestine from the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah, both France and England kind of like divided the territory in the Saxe-Picot Agreement in 1916. Yeah.
Right, and immediately after Palestine was liberated from the Ottoman Empire, which was no longer an empire, immediately came the Balfour Declaration addressed to Lord Rothschild, and it's not the Baron Edmund de Rothschild; it's a different Rothschild. But anyway, that the promise of the British government was to, yes, let's give the Jewish people a homeland, and let's allocate Palestine for that. And just as I just want to give some as a background for all this. Can I share my screen?
John, let's continue on with the presentation, okay?
Okay. So I just wanted to say that all these ideas to create a homeland for the Jewish people were not without any basis, because throughout the generations, ever since the Romans exiled the Jewish people from, and I'm not talking about the children of Israel from the Bible, I'm talking about recorded history, I'm talking about the Jews that lived in Judea, and those Romans that destroyed them and exiled them to slavery and other things. Ever since then, the Jewish people tried to mingle and tried to keep the religion in the foreign lands, but it didn't quite work out. So there was some kind of a basis for it, but of course the Rothschild had something in mind. Like you say, they wanted something from the days back in the Templars. They wanted something that is here. So yeah, back to you.
Okay, thanks. So we're talking about after this Balfour Declaration, we got also the establishment of the SIF Institute in Rehovot, my hometown, which later on became the Chaim Weizmann Institute for Science. And this is, in my perspective, and we also like researching that on another level with another project that we got. This was actually kind of like the entrance of the scientific Masonic paradigm into Israel, okay, especially into the area of Rehovot, and he was also one of the motivators for establishing the Technion in Haifa, and so this guy, he was plainly he's got science and politics written all over his face. And it came into the critical point on 1949 when he was elected as the first president of Israel. Actually, the first one that he kind of like suggested that to him that he will be president was no other than Albert Einstein. And once, I guess, when they didn't get his approval to be a president, didn't want to be a president, so they took the next scientist guy that was around, which was Chaim Weizmann. He actually arrived to Israel and became president without him hardly being in Israel beforehand. He was in Israel, but for all kinds of like visiting, but he didn't live here. He lived in London, and afterwards he lived in the United States, in New York City. So it's kind of like weird how they picked up this guy and imported him to be the first president of the country of Israel. But we'll get to that pretty soon.
Nir. I just want to know, Richie, do you have any questions, or do you need some clarifications about something, or something that you'd like to ask about in particular?
No, I mean, to be honest, right now, just for the last 5 minutes, I've been trying to sort out because my things have been beeping at me going, so I've been trying to sort out my other microphone to find out that this new connector that I bought doesn't blooming work. So I've had to fashion. Anyway, it's all right. It's all good now.
Okay.
No problem.
Richie, remember, whenever there are like technical difficulties, it means the establishment is after us. And we are right by what we're saying, okay? Whatever we say is right, the establishment is after us, and this is why we have technical difficulties. This is the...
It's a conspiracy, dude!
Exactly. Anyway, so we're talking about, we kind of like, in this time we are still like in the 1920s or so, in the land of Israel. And on this time, the British government was really supportive of establishing this country. Okay, this was going exactly by their plans of the Freemasons, of getting Rothschild in charge of all the settlements over here, and getting control. This is what they were looking for. Yeah. Control, plain and simple. About this time, I'm cutting you on. And about this time. This guy came along, Mr. Ze'ev Jabotinsky. Okay, he was born in 1880 and lived till 1940. And this guy, he brought forward the revisionist Zionism. Now, the revisionist Zionism was another stream of Zionism. There were like a lot of other streams, but this one was pretty much observed because he actually came to and made this aliyah, this immigration to Israel from the will to establish their rights of their forefathers to their land, and to conquer this land. Okay, plain and simple. Now, from that point of view, you can get a little bit of critical about him. Okay, why does a guy come over there and conquers the land? But I guess they didn't have anything to apologize about. I think the history is full with people conquering countries and conquering lands, and you can take a look at the British Empire that had this imperialism in Africa and India and all other countries over the world. You can see once they came over to the land of America, North America, when they kind of like disposed all the Indians from over there. So these are like crimes that are being made throughout history. And I think that if you take a look at it with Jabotinsky and the whole Zionistic movement with settling in Israel, it's not that big of a crime if you consider the history of the people over here, and I guess their motive to just live in their own place with their own agenda. So this guy came over here, and he is considered to be kind of like militant guy and was in charge of the underground movements that came along afterwards from the Beitar movement, the Etzel and the Lehi. Actually, my grandfather was part of the Beitar movement, and he made this illegal immigration to Israel back in 1938. And the thing is that this guy, once those people came over here, those authentic, I don't know, those revisionist Zionist guys, they came over here and started to build on settlements and started growing up on numbers as well. And suddenly, the other guys from the practical Zionism from before, they said to themselves, okay, we got other guys over here, but they don't have the same aims and objectives as we do. Okay? The Rothschild guys wants to control. Okay? Not related to Judaism, not related to the Jewish people. Now the Beitar people came along, they are really anxious to renew their old country that was here back 2,000 years ago, and this was their motive. Now again, it's the problems with the way, okay, that they chose, and on that certain point, we do need to ask the question on who is Jewish, okay, because and not who is Jewish, not only who is Jewish, but what is the symbol of us should be in this land, okay? Because as we see over here, we got two different symbols that kind of like representing this Jewish people that is over here. From one side, you got the Star of David. This is clearly a symbol that the Rothschilds brought along. Okay, some people saying that it's related to Satanism, whatever. They see all kinds of like 666 figures over here, all kinds of like hexagons, whatever. Let's leave that alone for a side. Okay, but on the other side, you got the menorah, which is actually the authentic symbol of Jewish people. This is the symbol that appears on the gate in Rome after they sacked the Second Temple, and this is what they got out of there. The menorah, it's mentioned numerous times in the Bible, and this was our main symbol, and this is still, the menorah is still in the symbol of our state, okay, not on the flag. Now, this sometimes in Israel you can actually see a flag of those two blue stripes and the menorah in the middle. And where do you see those flags? You see them in the Beitar Jerusalem football games, okay? And those are known to be like a highly militant crowd with very clear political agenda, which straight with the one of Jabotinsky. And now we need to ask ourselves in this particular point, what do we got over here? Okay, do we got over here a country that was founded afterwards? Still, when Israel was founded, it was founded by the majority of, let's say, the Rothschilds, okay, the practical Zionism, or as it's been converted into political opinions, the left wing in Israel. Okay, and this was led by David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister, and the first president, Chaim Weizmann, whenever they established Israel. Now, those guys, as we said, they coming from the Rothschild agenda. I don't think that it's even related to Judaism, the motives that they came over here. It's all about control. Now, and we got the other guys, okay, from the revisionist stream, that they came over here indeed with a deep connection to the Jewish history, to the Bible, and they are considered to be a little bit more religious, and they are considered to be they were the minority, okay, back then when Israel was established, and once Israel was established, they turned into the Cherut party, and then afterwards to the Likud party, if I'm correct. Right, John? John?
Until 1977.
So, yeah. And then they turned into the Likud party, right?
The year I was born.
Yeah.
So for the last 40 years or so, with some exceptions, the original founders of the State of Israel, which were the practical Zionists, are not all. We're not in power ever since, and the other one, the revisionists, were in power actually most of the time for the last 40 years. So also regarding that thing with the symbol of the country, the menorah is indeed the symbol of Israel, but the Star of David is not something that was invented. I think specifically for Judaism, it existed a long time before in China.
Yeah, we can see that in the bill over here in the presentation. We can see like the Star of David on the dollar bill. Who is that? Mao Zedong, whatever.
Mao Zedong.
This is going to bring us so beautifully into my little bit later.
Okay, we're waiting for that.
Right, and so you know, it also relates maybe to astrology or other things, and who knows? But yeah, it's also a Kabbalistic symbol. But you know, for me as an Israeli, why am I okay with this symbol? Alongside the menorah, which is also my country's symbol, because if you show the slide of the Holocaust, the 4 Holocaust people and the 4 soldiers, you see in the Holocaust that particular emblem was used to identify the Jewish people and to identify those who will be exterminated eventually. Yeah. And by the way, the inventor of this yellow Star of David is no other than a British king.
Oh.
He was yes. He was. If you saw the movie Braveheart, the king that fights Mel Gibson in the fight for Scotland's independence. He was the one who banished the Jewish people first from England.
No. And Richie, we don't hear. Just turn down the music. Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
Yes.
Yeah. So that king that fought against the Scots in that movie, he's actually also the king that banished the Jewish people from England, and they returned only when Oliver Cromwell took power centuries later. But he was the one who invented the idea that Jewish people should having a yellow Star of David on them. Mm-hmm. But anyway, since this was used by the Nazis, I know that there are some people over there that are questioning the Holocaust or questioning the scale of the Holocaust. But the Holocaust did happen. The extermination camps were there, and we can talk about the scale. Yeah. But let's not.
Yeah. Let's continue on, John, with how it.
So for me, being an Israeli is being someone who is no longer subject to this kind of prosecution, to this kind of murder. And to me, I have a homeland where I can be free and be who I am. And by the way, I'm not religious also. I'm not practicing. I'm not, most of the people in Israel are not practicing. They are secular. And, but they do have their identity of being Jewish. And if you go to the next slide, here, you see Israeli soldiers carrying the Israeli flag. And this, for me, so all I care is that this Star of David was used against the people who are now using it. So we are wearing it with pride on the flag, and I think that's one of the reasons they chose. Of course, yeah, it's also connected to that occultism and whatever Freemasonry that came with it. But I define myself as a Zionist just with the simple statement that I believe, yes, I believe that the Jewish people, after it didn't quite work out for generations outside the homeland from which they were driven, I believe that the Jewish people has the right to live in Israel, in their homeland. So for me, this is Zionism, and anybody who believes in this is actually, in my opinion, a Zionist.
Okay.
So very simple.
Now I want to get on to the last few minutes of our presentation and try to conclude it with how it affects nowadays, okay, in Israel, what we talked about. And as we can see in the slide over here, we can see that after the establishment of Israel, there were like two major streams, two major parties that kind of like goes throughout the Israeli history. From one side, the party that got control over the government, over the political side after the establishment of Israel was the Mapai party, which is in translation, it's the party of the labor people of Israel, of the working people of Israel. This party was in control because they were like bigger in numbers. They were here, as you recall, like before when the Rothschild came along. So they were here big in numbers. And once Israel was established, they got control over the political side, and also like on the other aspects of life, like media, like work, like courthouse, like I know science even. All those things, all those fields of life kind of like got underneath this party of the left wing, again left wing connected to the Rothschild and everything. Now this party also brought in the Mediterranean Jews immigration to Israel throughout the 50s and the 60s, and they put him into really bad conditions in ma'abarot, what they call back then, all kinds of like refugees places, and they give them crappy works, and they kind of like control their life altogether throughout the first 30 years or so of the country when they were controlling politically. Now, from that period of time, all the Middle Eastern people kind of like have a thing against the Ashkenazi people, against people I don't know, like me, that their ancestors came from Europe, because they're telling themselves, okay, you did a horrible thing for us in the beginning of the state, we hate you guys. But what you should understand, that it's just the political party, okay, and the people that made the decisions for them from this political side, they were indeed Ashkenazim. And also like the guys from the Likud party are also Ashkenazim, but those guys at 1977, when Begin came along, he kind of like changed at least the political side of things. When he told all the Middle Eastern people, come and vote for me, I'm your brother. He was also Ashkenazi, but he told them, I'm your brother, come along. And he was the one... Yes, John?
Yeah, the Ashkenazi Jews.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, he came along, and he actually attracted the Middle Eastern ones, okay, the Middle Eastern Jews, into voting for him. And from that point onwards, those Middle Eastern Jews, let's say in rough general, they are the ones who are more supporting of the Likud or the right side of the political parties. Now, again, after Begin, there was another people that continue his way. Yitzhak Shamir, who was back then on the underground movement time, he was a big leader over there, and he became a prime minister. And after him, Ariel Sharon was known for his also kind of like militant acts during his time. And then even before Ariel Sharon and in the last 10 years or so, or 13 years, I don't know, I don't remember then, we got Benjamin Netanyahu who's like in control. But yet again, the thing is that, at least in my perspective, the control of the right wing in Israel is only political one. Okay, all the other institutes of the country, media, courthouse, police, the army, all of these are still being heavily controlled by the left wing in Israel, and this is the situation that we got over here. Now, to conclude all of this, okay, our presentation and what we said over here, I think that the main message that we should give as Israelis, me and John, is that once you show the flag of Israel, okay, in ODD video or whatever, and you're saying you're the one who blame, it brings the blame on three different things, okay, which is first of all us people as Jewish people, okay, in this land. You bring the fault on the country itself, okay, on the country itself, and meaning the people who control us over here. And you give the criticism on the land itself, which is actually holy. So the thing is that we need our message is to separate, okay, to separate those three things, okay, because the country of Israel and the government of Israel are not the Israeli people and are not the Jewish people, okay. Those are three different things. Yes.
This is something that I think it's extremely important for every single person listening to this to realize. What we're talking about is issues between leaders of countries. We're talking about issues between big egotistical megalomaniacs who want to control everything and everybody, and it's not our issues. We've made them our issues. We've made, we form opinions about things that we've got no place form an opinion about. Because one of the things that meeting you, that both of you, Nir, haven't spoken to you today, John. I've gained a further insight, certainly from your point of view, and with my friendship with Nir, I've seen the life of a real Israeli, and it's nothing like I imagined. He's my brother from another mother, it's we're the same. Me and Nir are the same. We're the same. We're almost the same person, just in different countries. And people need to realise that we are all the same. We really are, as individual and unique and all of that as we are, because we are. Each one of us is unique and individual and totally, but we're the same. We're no different. I'm no different to you. You're no different to me.
Yeah, exactly. So if you happen to be in contact with ODD, tell him that. Tell him that.
Okay, listen. I actually interviewed ODD on my channel, The Really Woke Show, with Roxanne and Dolly Daydream. We interviewed ODD, but it was talking more about the Globe Lie. Yeah, sure. So we haven't spoken to him since, unfortunately. We were going to do a part 2, but we haven't actually spoken to him since. But if I do get to speak to him again, I will definitely point him in I'll send him a link to this video.
I want to comment a little bit about what you said earlier, Richie, about the governments and leaders. The thing is that, in my perspective nowadays, okay, there are all kinds of political issues in Israel, political agendas. Which is, for instance, being more militant is more referred to the right, and being more peaceful is being related to the left, or maybe being more religious is related to the right, and being more secular related to the left, and all kinds of different agendas and different things happening from these differences. But in my perspective, especially lately after I saw the last elections, it seems to me that it's more like personal, okay? It's nothing which is related to the agendas. It's nothing that they really.
This is what I'm saying.
No one is really
it's
matters.
It's a battle of egos.
Yeah, yeah. It matters only like whose
egos.
name is on the top. Okay, whose name is on the top and whose name is first. And the proof for that is that they're trying to now to take down Benjamin Netanyahu as prime minister with all kinds of like really shady and illegal ways of court and sue him for corruptions and trying to in all kinds of non-democratic way to take him down.
Yeah, it's exactly what's going on with Donald Trump in the United States. The whole media establishment, like in the United States, is against Trump, and even his own party sometimes is on against him. So here, same thing here. The entire media is against the prime minister, and for me, it's a red light. Whenever the media, the controlled media, is against something, then
this has to be. This has to be it has to be. There has to be some alarm bells going. If the entire MSM have jumped on it, then we know that they are owned 100%. It will be interesting to see what the Fox News network are saying, because Fox are actually they're sympathising more with Trump now. They are the one network that is actually going with Trump.
Okay.
It's very questionable. Their reporting is very questionable. Hannity, I do like Hannity, right? But he keeps talking about this impeachment hearing as if this is the impeachment, and it's not. This is not the impeachment. This is an impeachment inquiry. They're looking into if they're going to do an impeachment or not. This is not the impeachment, but it's being reported as if it is.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
What's going on there for crying out loud?
All right, guys. I want to close down trying to close down this segment of the show with this presentation. Just a finishing word for you, John and Richard.
Nir, just before you close the segment, if I can share my screen just for a minute,
Sure.
We are approaching the 22nd of November. The 22nd of November is the date on which Kennedy was assassinated, and why he was assassinated, and that's a whole big conspiracy to talk about. But this is what he said: Israel was not created in order to disappear. Israel will endure and flourish. It is the child of hope and home of the brave. It can neither be broken by, what did he say here? Adversity nor
demoralized
by success. It carries the shield of democracy and it honors the sword of freedom. Well, he said that back when he was alive, and not just him, by the way. Also, his brother, Robert Kennedy, said the same. So it's a very complex thing with us here in Israel, and
I think it can't be denied that whatever was happening in Israel, whatever was intended originally, whatever's happened, it's been hijacked. Along the way, it's been hijacked. There's been people that have been trying to gain control for the wrong reasons, and it's basically that's something that we're facing on a earth-wide, on this entire plane. We've got in every single nation, I think we've got basically the people that are just trying to control us for the wrong reasons, battling against people that are trying to control us for the right reasons. There's a benevolent side and a malevolent side. And we're right in the midst of it right now. We're right in the midst of it.
Right.
Thank you very much, Richard. I guess that will conclude this segment. It could last for hours and hours, but we should leave something for next time or whatever, and finish this discussion over here. It's been almost like 1 hour and a half. So thank you guys.